transfer portal, right? Like now you're getting guys that you think you know are players, but you don't know until you see them. But a guy like Jaheim Clark, I actually reached out to AJ Eads at the Big Ten office to call the NFL because in the NFL, you can only turn in 5 undergrad guys for grade assessment, but like I'm going to have probably 5 guys that will be fourth-year players that under the rule as it's written now, you can't turn in their grades. And like Jaheim Clark, Matt Krasevich, Caden Fagan, we've got a number of guys that I think could be draft eligible, but I still think for them to come back and play one more year could be a benefit to them. So a little bit of a wait and see on that one.
Coach, you brought Caden Hauser with you here today. What did you see from him in the spring? What skill set does he bring to the position?
Yeah, well, I think the quarterback is so unique, right? They got to obviously go out and perform at a high level, but I also think they got to do things like this, right? Like they're the voice of the program. Nobody is held under more scrutiny as a player than a quarterback, right? That's why you very rarely ever hear me say anything negative about our quarterback, because I think once you as a head coach, I tell this to every quarterback I recruit, if I ever criticize you, it opens the door for everybody else, right? And his impressive leadership skills on the field, he's extremely talented, got a very good arm strength, he's got a quick release, he's got very good understanding, he sees the game. But this summer, I think even if you ask Tank and the guys in our weight room, his leadership is taking it to a different level. Been around our defensive guys. We did more team lifts this year just because I wanted our whole team to feel him and understand him. So this is just another step in that process. Yeah, we'll actually have. I won't say it now because I don't want to leave a name off, but we'll have, I think, 5 guys that medically will not be able to play for us this year. Now nobody's really in the too deep. Kind of just young guys that have had double surgeries, a couple double shoulders, a couple hips. But overall, we're going to have a couple guys that might be a little slow to return to camp, but by the time we hit fall camp, we should be pretty healthy. There are a couple guys with some soft tissue, but nobody significant. Nobody had anything catastrophic since the spring, so there's no big announcements there.
In college football, it seems like there's been long rebuilds now. Everybody's trying to win year by year. Do you feel like that's kind of the goal this year, to reload quick the transfer portal? And how do you think you did this year, filling some of those pieces?
Yeah, I think sustainable success, right? I say it all the time, but that's going to be a huge part of it. But there's so many records over the last 2-3 years, especially the last 2 that were great for our team, but they were really driven by quarterback play, right? You talk about 8-1 in one-score games. That's a big part of quarterback play, right? And defensively, I think the transition that we made was for 1 and 10 is to get better on defense, right? And I think to be able to recruit to this system is a little bit unique and different. So you kind of have to look for some moving parts for the defense side. So I've kind of done some things differently, even in our personnel department. But yeah, I don't think we want to be good every once in a while. We want to be good all the time, and that's what we're trying to do.
There's about 3 dozen former Illinois football players and NFL training camps this week. What is maybe that number that's bigger than it's ever been, say, about what programs?
Yeah, it's the year of the 4s, but I didn't get to one up there. So if you look at top 100 picks in the NFL draft, we're 4th in the conference since I've been here, right? And that to me is an amazing number, right? Because you look traditionally at our conference and some of the programs, what they've been able to do, and to have Illinois in that conversation is a really big step in that right direction. But to have NFL players, I would say we have actually kind of built a little reputation off of undrafted guys making it, right? And so I'm excited for the guys that got drafted, but it's kind of fun for me to watch. And like Luke Altmaier when I was and Jeremy was with me. I mean, it was a down day when he didn't get drafted, but I kept saying, man, it's not where you're at. It's where you end up going and what you do while you're there. And I think he's doing great there, right? Hank Beatty, I grabbed dinner with Hank and Luke, and Hank's very excited about where he is with those guys. It was great to see Gabe sign the other day and finally get his juices going out there in New England. So super excited for all those guys and for what their next step is.
What's the next step in installing this defense now that fall camp's?
Yeah, so the fall camp's going to be a little bit different than the years past. We've always gone kind of good against good the first 2 weeks, but our defense is such a unique prep, and I don't want to waste our offensive time by playing and scheming against something they're not going to really see. So the movement part is good. Like one of the things that I thought we in our self-scout needed to do better offensively is block movement, so that was actually kind of a byproduct of the spring, but we'll do a lot more regimented look team stuff and get good against the teams we're going to see early, especially on the offense side. But defensively, I think we concentrated in the spring on early downs, third down, but now we'll start getting really football situational, end of half, end of game, backed up, situational football, which is something we've been really good at.
When you flip the staff as much as you have, Brett, what's been the bullet points of important for you to kind of get everybody on the same page?
Yeah, good question. So without a doubt, like players and coaches would probably get tired of me, but I always say the two greatest things you can bring to an organization are communication and consistency. And so I hired everybody in that building to come in and do a job, right? And the way that they communicate to their players, like I'll just take the running back room. I just talked to Thad Ward yesterday or 2 days ago, just calling to catch in with him, hadn't talked to him in a while, wanted to wish him the best, and an incredible man, incredible coach. And in his room, right, we brought in Tyrone Wheatley, and it has almost the same room. We've had a couple of freshmen, but he just coaches that room in a different style, right? Not bad, good, or indifferent. It's Wheat's way of doing it, and the guys have been very, very receptive to it, very open, very warm. And I think that's just a little bit of he's the same guy every day. He's a very consistent man and a consistent coach. So to have that brought in the room, on the flip side of it, Jared Elliott and the tight end room has been an absolute difference maker. Just the way that we've engaged our tight ends, who we've engaged with it, the way they fit into the offense. So super excited for those guys on offense, and the defense speaks for itself. But for sure, two things: consistency and communication. They got to be at a premium.
As you mentioned, win in
Last question here, last question.
Being important to make the next step. What are the other things you view as important to make the next step as a program?
Well, I think depth, and no doubt. We still have a couple of positions. Like number one's good, but that next guy I got concerns about, right? I think you can say that every year, but at Illinois, that really played up huge, and especially in the 2 years where we didn't qualify for bowl games. It was kind of a position stretch at certain times, but Josh has afforded us to build our roster, and there's still a lot of guys that haven't played, but I do think even this incoming freshman class now with this 5-for-5 rule, I actually petitioned the Big Ten to jump our roster size from traveling from 74 to 80, because I think just universally everybody's going to have more players that can play and contribute, and especially now that you get into this Big Ten play deep in the season, there's going to be a game where maybe you don't know if a certain guy is going to be able to go, so you need to take one more extra guy, and you still want that guy to go if he can play. But so I think there's a lot of, but depth will be the overall biggest point, I think.